Welcome back to our 82nd episode of the Launcher Farm Show, where I interview Jeff Pfitzer, who's the host of the Lab Coat Agents podcast. In this episode, Jeff and I talk about why agents must be using video in their business if they want to stay relevant and grow their business in the future. And Jeff shares how to create an authentic brand around your life and business that attracts clients so you don't have to chase it. And we talk about what strategies massively successful agents are doing right now to leverage social media and video and how you can emulate that in your own business. And Jeff shares a super easy way to create authority and trust in your farm by using other people's listings. And we talk about how to engage local businesses in your farm to create amazing content that not only benefits them, but also adds a ton of value to your farm and helps you build your brand. Plus, we talk about a ton of other ideas that you can use to grow your geographic farm. So be sure to check out this episode, like and subscribe, and enjoy the episode with Jeff. Welcome back to another episode of the Launcher Farm Show. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and today we've got a great guest. It's Jeff Pfitzer. He's the host of the Lab Coat Agents podcast and a number of other things. So I'm going to let Jeff kind of tell a bit about himself and why he's here.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. It's good to, it's always good to talk about these kind of topics that I know we're going to be talking about today because I believe it and I'm passionate about it and I'm excited to share.
Awesome. So why don't you share about who you are and what brings you here and why you're on?
Yeah, sure. I'm actually in the mortgage business, ironically. I've been in the mortgage business since 2000. And over the last 5 or 6 years, I've really scaled kind of out of the business. I'm still very much involved. In fact, I've been dealing with issues this morning with my partners. But I have really scaled. It started with, it's a longer story than we probably have time, but long story short, I got to meet Tristan Ahumada at a mastermind that I had gotten invited to because I was doing video before people were really doing video. And we just kind of hit it off. I had a podcast at the time. I had him as a guest a couple times. Sure. And then before you know it, he was like, hey, can you help me launch Lab Coats? And this was about 2.5 years ago. Nice. And originally we were supposed to co-host it, but he just couldn't stick. It's intensive, as you know, and it requires a lot of interviewing. And he's like, you know what, just run with it. And I'm like, cool. So it created a lot of opportunity for me to kind of build an authority status in the real estate space. And it has led to a bunch of other things. So Tristan and I founded a Facebook group called Drunk on Social that's dedicated to all things social media and news and strategies and what's coming and all that kind of thing. And we have since, we're co-founders of a platform called the Business Video School that teaches real estate professionals video so they can do it themselves if they can't afford or don't want to hire a videographer. We've got a couple of other platforms. We've got a Real Estate Mastery Pros, which is another platform that we put on and we do monthly webinars with real estate agents with really high level people and innovative topics. And I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't know.
There's lots.
There's other things out there.
You wear many hats.
Yeah, I do. Too many hats, actually.
That's awesome. So today I want to dive into some of the things you do, but before we do that, kind of share how you got into the business and how you've evolved to get, I mean, you shared some of the things you're doing, but how did you get started and what did it look like for you over the evolution of your business?
Well, I think the real question about how I got in the business is not that interesting because it was back in 2000. So, you know, the world back then is nothing like what it is today. I think if you kind of rewind to, 2007, 2008, obviously the business crashed pretty hard. The mortgage business the real estate business prior to 2007, 2008 were completely different than they are today.
Yes.
Then Dodd-Frank happened and just lots of evolution in the business. But I would say about 2015, 2016 was really a shifting point for us. We had been with our company since 2008, which is USA Mortgage. And we were seeing the evolution of technology and social media and things like that. And I wasn't liking where my company was going. And, it opened doors. I always will talk to recruiters and listen to people just to learn. And one of them caught my ear and our entire group, which was 30 something people at the time, decided to make a move. And we made a move and it was a terrible move, but also a great move at the same time. Yeah. And, by terrible, it only lasted 2 years and we realized, okay, this isn't working. We were kind of sold a bill of goods. You guys, anybody listening knows that story. But what it did for us was that when we left the company, the mindset that I wouldn't have gotten had I stayed, which was I need to now differentiate myself because now my competition, they were my colleagues. They have market share in my city. So I got to figure out a way to stand out because I'm bringing a new name to the town, to town and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And that's where I just stumbled upon video. Facebook Live was just becoming a thing. And, I embraced it and thought, I can see something here. And one thing led to another. It started getting me connected to some people. I started doing a little bit. I always say I was doing TikTok before TikTok existed. Not that I had any premonition. I guess I'm just a little goofier and thought talking head videos bore me. And so I'm going to make them more fun. Edutainment would be the best way to describe it. And so that's what I did. And honestly, it created a lot of opportunities. It got me introduced to a lot of people. It's one of the reasons I met Tristan. And just opened a lot of doors. And frankly, the long story short is, as a mortgage person, and as a real estate person, you can understand what I'm about ready to say, which is mortgage people only get invited into the rooms if we're providing the donuts, we're bringing the lunch, we're paying for the booze, we're giving you our credit card, right?
Yeah.
And I have somehow, really by accident, but I've figured it out. I've cracked the code, and now I get paid to come to your events and speak to you and teach you things. And what it really was, that light bulb moment for me, was I figured out how to bring massive value to the audience that I'm usually chasing. And now I'm attracting them. And so I think that's usually when I speak to audiences that have never heard me before, I say, if I can be standing here on this stage right now and you're all sitting here listening to me, I figured out how to do that.
Yeah.
I can teach you how to do the same thing within your community, within your, geographical area. And so that's really the name of the game now. And so I live and breathe. That's, as I said, I scaled out. So now I really spend most of my time in business development, speaking, creating opportunities, because my phone's ringing all the time, because I'm creating content all the time, and I'm in front of audiences all the time. And so everybody really, essentially, I know when people think that, and they're probably thinking to themselves, well, I'm never going to be standing on stages. I'm never going to get in front of a video camera. First of all, I would challenge the latter, but you can do that. You can do that locally. It doesn't matter what size city you live in. You can be more visible because you've maybe put your face on a billboard. It's the same concept. It's just more antiquated now, right? You've put your face on a newspaper ad. Same thing. It was just more antiquated. That was what you did 10 years ago. You put your face on a bus bench or a grocery cart, right? And now it's more exponential. We have more opportunity to reach more people. And that's what I'm doing. And it's just really worked really, really well. And so now I teach it because I believe in it. And I believe in it because I'm a practitioner.
And I think, like you said, it's not just that you can do it, it's you should be doing it. And I think it's important because you're going to be missing the boat. And this is really what I want to dive into today. And I think the key word you said back at the beginning was you had to evolve, and the business has evolved. And if you're not evolving and changing with this business, you won't have a business, because there are technologies, there are rules, there are regulations, there are competitors coming in who will do that and will take that step and will be willing to do video. And if you're not willing to create a hyper local, which is what we teach, and create a real solid foundation in your business locally, the players who are playing at the high level will steal that competition. But we can protect ourselves by making sure that we do it. And that's what I want to dive into with you today, is how agents can do that and where you see that going. So let's start with kind of where you see things going, and then how we can work through that.
Yeah. And so first I will say this, so I got a couple things to add to that. Is, so one, I have ownership in a video school. We teach it. That's how we get paid. Right. Yep. But I have no problem telling anyone two things. One, I'm not going to tell you that if you don't do video, you'll never be successful. That's not necessarily true. There will be some anomalies, but keyword, there'll be anomalies.
Exactly.
And you're just handicapping your business, because if you sit there and say, I'm not going to do it, but your agent competitor down the street is doing it. Listen, they're getting more eyeballs. They're going to be remembered more. They're going to have more opportunities. That's the simple fact. The other thing is this: you don't necessarily need the video school if you are a self-learner. YouTube has everything. Hell, TikTok now has everything. You can learn anything you want to learn. So it's again, I'm a big believer in all of these things. But I believe that as a practitioner, it just gives me a little bit more validity than a lot of people, because a lot of successful people were successful first,
Yeah.
then got social media. Now they have
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
I'm the person that I was relatively successful, but I reached massive levels of success as a result of video and social. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. So to move forward with that conversation, one of the things we talk about, and I study this stuff, Ryan, I'm reading the social media news every day. I'm reading about the future technology. I'm studying this stuff because I want to be the expert.
Yeah.
And so, some of the key words that are coming, you can Google this. Go Google what is the future of tech, what does the future of real estate look like? Yeah. And here's the things you're going to hear. You're going to hear about more automation. You're going to hear about VR, virtual reality. You're going to hear about AR, augmented reality. You're going to hear about what are some of the other words? The Internet of Things, which is like touchless services. We're talking about Alexa. In other words, consumers, as time continues to evolve, want less human interaction. They want to do everything from their couch.
Yep.
And soon it's going to be in a virtual world. And I'm not joking when I say this, although I think some people think it's a joke. I tell them, I say, here's what's coming in the next 10 years, maybe sooner. You're going to have a consumer who's going to see your listing video in the virtual world, because that's going to be a necessity. So they're going to be in their Oculus watching, they're going to be walking through a house, a listing in a virtual world. They're going to reach out to you and want to buy the house with cryptocurrency. And so the house is going to have to be an NFT, which is going to become commonplace. If you haven't heard this, that's coming. And they're going to have a mortgage company that can lend through the blockchain.
Yep.
Then you're going to, so that's just the opportunity. Then you're going to use AR to be standing as a hologram in their living room, giving your listing presentation. This is coming in the next 10 years. So to digress a second, all of this technology that I'm mentioning, and there's more, virtually is designed to replace us, right? The automation in the mortgage business, the automation in the real estate business, they want to make everything more seamless to remove human error, right? And so you as a human you're not going to beat it. You're not going to be able to reply faster than a robot, right? You're not going to be able to spit out data faster than a robot. I mean, these AIs, artificial intelligence is becoming so smart. It kind of scares me to think what the world will be like in 100 years. Yeah. But the one thing that I know is that we as human beings, the one thing a robot can't do is show emotion, and it can't make a human connection, and it can't connect with someone on the other end who has a common interest or goal or family style or religion or whatever it is, right? Yep. And so that's where everybody should be leaning into, and we could go so deep on that, but I've got a lot of thoughts on that. But that's kind of my overview thoughts of why video and social are so incredibly important.
And that's where, when used correctly, using them can build the relationships. And where a lot of people I've seen, and a lot of mistakes that most agents make, is they look at them as video and social media as opportunities to do marketing and not build relationships. And one of the core tenets that I preach with farming is it's what I say is the foundation of farming, which is CPR, which is community, positioning, and relationships. And at any good solid farm, you have
CPR. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
I love it.
Like that's good. Chest compression. So it's community. You have to have your community first. And that's why it's important to be hyperlocal, because people still do care about a hyperlocal community. The positioning is being an expert and an ambassador for the community, and then you build relationships. And if you have those in place, you're able to fight off the competition. You're able to beat the AI. You're able to beat those big competitors because you're building relationships that are true and meaningful. When you use technology the way you're talking about, it's advancing the relationship. It's not advancing your brand, just your brand, or advancing just marketing, telling people you sell more homes or you're better than anyone else. It's, if done correctly, it's connecting with people. It's positioning you as an ambassador. It's positioning you as the expert for the community. And then you then build the relationships. And that really is the key to, I believe, the future of where real estate's going to go. It's always been a relationship game, but now it's how do we combine the technology? How do we combine social media? How do we combine video and whatever we're doing to further the relationships and further that positioning? And that's really what the same thing you're saying is that you're going to have to do. Otherwise you will be replaced.
Yeah. I mean, and you're just going to be creating, you're going to make it really hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And so it's because that's the thing is, and I don't use this as an intimidation tactic, but it's like, just go follow me on social and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Because to go back to kind of one of the things that you were saying is the inclination for us as real estate professionals, and I hate this inclination, by the way, is they say, okay, fine, I'll embrace this video, I'll embrace this social media. And then they go to social media and their entire strategy, their entire existence is talking about real estate.
Yeah.
And it is so massively diluted. And the reality is, to us, we think that's what the world sees.
Yeah.
These algorithms are really smart. They know you're in real estate. So they're showing you and me all of this real estate data, but our neighbors all across, on our subdivision and our SOI and our family and our past customers who have nothing to do with real estate are not seeing that because they're not engaging that because they're not interested in that. Yep. And that's where so many people miss the boat. So unless you're targeting, running ads, right, and putting money behind it, you are not getting seen. And although, yes, you need to sprinkle in business content because you got to remind people what you do, that's not how you connect with them. You connect with them because you grow tomatoes every year and there's a process behind it and you document it through social media and a bunch of people engage it because they're interested, because either A, they're tomato growers, or B, they want to be a tomato grower. So they're going to watch your content. And then as they're engaging you and you're showing up on their feed every time that they open up social media, when you sprinkle in that you're a real estate agent, like there's this thing about humans, is some sort of dopamine or something. But when we like somebody, we want to support them.
Yep.
And it goes back to the old, if you guys have ever heard a speaker say, open up Facebook right now. They used to do this. Open up Facebook right now and ask for a plumber. And watch, you'll get like 30 replies.
Yeah.
Like there's just something in our DNA that want to help. Yeah. And so, but nobody wants to be marketed to. Right.
Exactly.
And so it's like, and even more so nowadays, because now we're getting annoyed because now these social platforms have to monetize. They have to drop sponsor ads in there. We scroll right by them. But that's how you win. You win by connecting with people, by sharing your life, by turning on your camera, by the things that you're doing every single day. And yep. It's really actually very, very simple, Ryan. I think you know this. I think it seems complicated or seems like a nuisance to people. But I'm going to tell you right now, turning on my camera, sharing my life is far less of a nuisance than picking up the phone and cold calling people,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Or
walking through a subdivision and door knocking. Like that sucks.
Yeah.
And so when you put perspective on it, I think it kind of can change their mindset, I hope.
And I think also, like you said, people will connect with people that they like and they know and they have a vested interest in, but also their community as a whole too. Because if you go anthropologically looking, the community still is that safe place for people. That's why we had our tribes, we had our groups of people that we were around and want to be safe with. And if we can become that ambassador for that community, we can become that person who's the go-to person in the community, we create more trust. We create that level of expertise. We create that position that people want to see thrive and want to see do well, but we have to take the steps to do that first. And so many people think, well, if I just sell enough homes first, then people will want to do business with me. And the reality is you don't have to even sold a home to become that ambassador for the community. And when I started my farm, I literally moved to the area, didn't have any sales in the area. But I learned to position myself as that expert and ambassador for the community right up front. And we got deals started right away. And then we just kept getting deals after deal after deal because I knew you have to position yourself first to give back to the community. And that's how you're going to build the trust. And you can use technology, you can use social media to do that, but you can't think old school. You can't think self-promotion. You can't just think I'm the best and then beat your chest and people are going to want to work with you because it's just not the way it works.
Yeah, you're right. And I'll give a great example. There's a guy named Tyler Hassman. I interviewed him on my podcast and I could be happy to introduce you to him.
Awesome.
He is a very young, in his 20s, real estate agent out of Calgary in Canada. And he has blown up his business. He's been it since last September. And he's currently doing, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 deals a month now, all because of TikTok. TikTok strategy where all he does is he doesn't have these listings. He hasn't been in the business long enough to have earned them. He goes to these, builders and listing agents and says, "Hey, do you mind if I come and do a little TikTok video and promote your listing?"
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 say yes. That 1 out of 10, I just belongs in a business grave. I'm sorry, but that's just idiotic. Like, who wouldn't want free promotion?
Yep.
And that's how he's built his business, and he's crushing it. And it's got nothing to do with his experience or how long he's been in the business. It's purely these eyeballs. He's getting more of them. He's creating interesting, simple content with a cell phone. You can go check him out on TikTok. He's got some energy that helps.
Yep.
But it just goes to show you that it's like, I agree with you. Like the gray hairs in our business, and it used to matter. It used to matter what my stats said, but now it doesn't. It matters about who entertains me or who educates me or who I connect with the most. That's the reality of it, because perception is reality. And I've been hearing it more and more nowadays about, like, Brad McCallum's another one. Ironically, he's also in Calgary. He's the one who introduced me to Tyler.
Yep.
But Brad's just really great. He creates some amazingly sexy videos, like beyond. He's as good as a professional videographer, which most of us aren't going to be. Yeah. So he truly is an anomaly, but he's only been in the business like 4 years, and he's absolutely crushing the business, which again proves the fact that experience doesn't really matter anymore. It's all about marketing. And if you can market yourself correctly, and again, it's just about positioning yourself as the authority of whatever it is you want to be the authority of. Yeah, exactly. And if that means just going out in your community and being the aggregator of, where's the Easter egg hunts? Where's the breakfast with Santas? Where should you go to barbecue on Memorial Day? Yep. Interviewing local restaurant owners, which, oh, by the way, is going to be creating a bunch of connections with people because you're creating free promotion for them, right? There's so many things that you can do, and you become the aggregator of that content. Yep. And Ryan, I mean, there's a lot of platforms that help with this. There's a lot of people that have been doing this, but the one thing that I very rarely see is that, because this isn't new, like what I just described isn't new. Yeah. Very, very few people stick with it.
100%.
Do it for a couple of months, and then they get busy and they vacate it. And I'm telling you guys, like, this is a two-year plan. Yeah. But if you do this consistently for 2 years and you properly promote it, like, you're going to crush it. There's a buddy of mine in Kansas City, Missouri. His name's Dan Edson. He's got a Highlight My Town is what it's called. And it's very specific to 3 different cities within Kansas City. And he has gotten to the point where, so he's done a very good job and very consistent. And he gets asked now to be like the host of political forums. He's been asked to be a judge at beauty pageants. And he'll always call me and be like, because I'm kind of one of his mentors. And he's like, yep. Do I want to do this stuff? I'm like, oh, hell yes, man. Yeah. I'm like, first of all, if it's an infringement on your time or it's going to affect your family, don't do it. Yeah. I said, you're solidifying yourself as a celebrity in your community. And I'm like, Dan, you just got to stick with this. Cause he's only been doing it since, I guess it's maybe it was January. I don't even know if he's been doing it a year, but he's doing such a good job of it. And I'm like, dude, you are having more quote unquote success, not in terms of transactions yet, but in terms of visibility. And that visibility creates opportunities. It creates connections. People will remember you. People will like you. And then you got to start having that. You got to start using that call to action. Yeah. You're going to earn it. Now I start asking for the business, but it's there's so many examples that I could give that it's, and there's the reality is, Ryan, and I can speak to this. I hate my business by and large. Like, I love it because there's no other business that can give me the freedom, the financial gain, the flexibility, but it's a stressful, hard business. Right. And now getting to do this in my business has made my business so much more fun. Because, prospecting sucks. It's hard. It's frustrating. We live in the no, right? We live being told no. And so being able to do marketing TikTok style, Instagram Reels style, going out and calling on a restaurant and saying, hey, can I interview you and create a video to promote your business? And by the way, there's no cost to you. Yeah. Like, that feels good. Yeah. And it's fun, and you get comfortable. You get comfortable in front of the camera. You actually learn to embrace it. And before you know it, your phone's ringing.
Exactly. And it's a good point, like you said, is that the traditional way of doing business can be very daunting, can be very draining. It can be soul sucking for many agents. And that day-to-day grind of door knocking or cold calling just over and over and over again can really get at people. And you can do it for so long. And I don't knock it at all, because I promote doing it if you can do it. But a lot of people can't do it. And I always say, if you can have fun doing what you're doing and get paid to do it, why wouldn't you? And if you can enjoy getting involved in the community, if you can get out there, connect with people, build new relationships. And the other big part of what I think is important, which is what I hear you saying, is that when you get in front of other people's audiences, you're expanding your reach drastically. And it's something I talk all the time, is you should think about how you can get one to many instead of one to one. And the traditional style of door knocking, cold calling is just, hey, do you want to make a move? Yes or no. Hey, do you want to make a move? Yes or no. Hey, do you want to make a move? When you can now get in front of other people's audiences, they have an audience that you are now reaching that you never would have reached before. And the more you do that, the more times you do that consistently, you're casting a wider net, but you're casting a targeted wider net in your community, and you're reaching people that you never would have connected with. And then you'll see who's gonna want to work with me, who's gonna connect with me the most, and then you can start building the connections that way. And if you do it right, like you said, it takes some time up front, but then it starts and it just becomes. And I've got a lot of people that I've coached and trained and who've said like, it's boring at first, I'm not getting the results, but then once it clicks, it just kind of starts to unwind it, and then you really start growing drastically if you do it right.
Totally. 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's when you really put things in perspective and you think about, like, I don't know, pre-COVID and more maybe 5 years ago, before social really took hold, what did our SOIs look like? It was past customers.
Yeah.
It was friends and family. It was maybe a BNI group. It was maybe a local chamber. We would go to those types of things. That's what we did to prospect.
Yeah.
Or maybe, we buy leads, which is painful, right? It sucks. It's just no fun. And now when you think about it, because, again, we coach social, and a lot of the conversations we're having is because people just get this they're ingrained in their head that they have to go viral to be successful. And we're like, no, like, that's cool and fun if you do, but just think about it. I'm like, because it's specifically Instagram, because it's so hard to grow on Instagram. And I always tell people, I'm like, if you have 200, 300, 400, 1,000, followers on Instagram, put it in perspective to what you had prior to Instagram. It was maybe 200 people tops.
Yeah.
And even then you only touched them, once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Now you have the opportunity to be in their face while they're sitting on the toilet, while they're laying in bed, while they're sitting at work. I mean, everywhere, every day, if you're good at it.
Yeah.
And it's so insanely powerful. Facebook, we just had a conversation with somebody, a new client that we're taking on the other day, and he's been in the business a long time. And I pulled up his Facebook, and we coach across all of the platforms. So literally YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. And I'm like, dude, you only have 1,700 friends on Facebook. Why? I'm like, I said, first of all, you need to be intentional. Like, looking back, I continue to clean up my friends on Facebook because I want to be intentional. I want them to be real estate related or SOI related. Right. So all of the people from India or some random person in Timbuktu, there's no reason to have that person as a friend. So I removed them to open up a spot for somebody else. But I'm like, everybody should have about 4,500 to 5,000 friends on Facebook, and it should be intentional because that is a potential target audience. And so as a real estate agent, I'd be focusing on humans that live within the radius that I work. Right. And maybe realtors in other markets, because you could get a referral, things like that. But by and large, it's like, why, dude, 1,700, you're not trying. Right?
Exactly.
That's not that hard. And it was kind of an eye opener for him. And I'm just like, you're missing the boat. And because that's the only platform where it's friends, right? The other platforms, people have to choose to follow you. And then it comes down to, can you be interesting enough to get people to click your bio, then to click to follow? And that's harder. Right. But that's the fun part to me. That's like a big game.
If you gamify it, it becomes interesting. I know when I started years ago, I moved, because you don't know my story, but I've moved 3 times in my career and started over 3 different times in 3 different areas. And I've had to rebuild my audience each time and kind of change who my audience was and rebuild followers. And it became a game for me and going, okay, how do I get new people? How do I connect with new people? How do I get in front of more people quicker? How do I do it more efficiently? How do I do it without people slamming the door in front of my face?
Yeah.
And you have to be intentional with it. But when you do it correctly, it works well. So I want to ask you then about actual strategies, because a lot of agents hear this and they hear, oh, I should be doing social. I hear the big, the 1,000 or 10,000 foot view, but what are some actual things that agents can go and do right now to have an impact and start to see some traction?
Yeah. So for me, and I'll give you a little story about, when I started doing video, and I was doing Facebook Lives, I was doing, office walkthroughs, and here we are at a meeting, and here's the latest update in the industry. And I was boring myself, no joke. One of the secret weapons that I have, that many of us do have, is kids. Right. And I have daughters. They're currently 18 and 21. 21 will be 22 tomorrow. But they were, it's 7 or 8 years ago now, right? So whatever they were then, 10, 11, and 14. But, that age range, they are the predictors of what's coming in social. They were Facebook first. We all forget that it was a college app, and then we ran them off. Obviously Snap is kind of their platform still. TikTok, we're taking over. TikTok was theirs. And so I just took an interest in my kids, what they were doing, partially because they were asking me to participate in stuff. And of course, partially because I'm monitoring, right? Yep. But I took an interest from a different perspective, which was, this is interesting. I wonder if this is going to evolve. And that's exactly why I was standing on stages in 2019 saying to real estate agents, you should be paying attention to TikTok. Everybody said you're an idiot. And now look at it now, right? But it was just simply because I had a more open mind. I didn't look at it as 13-year-old or 15-year-old girls dancing around. I looked at it as, what are the possibilities here? How can this correlate into a real estate video? And so get back to the story. There was one video that I remember. So my daughter was 13. That was my 18-year-old. She was 13 at the time. She was making slime and selling it on Etsy. This is my little entrepreneurial daughter. And I was like, you know what, Isabel, let's do a video and like make slime on the video and then tell them where they can buy it. Like, let's promote your little business here. Right. And that video, so this was like, it was 5 years ago. It got thousands of views. This was a Facebook Live and hundreds of comments. And it was like that, again, light bulb moment, like, holy shit, like, what am I doing talking about mortgages? I just connected with so many people, related with so many people. And why wouldn't I do more of this? Because this is how I win the algorithm. And so it just evolved for me from there. And so I'm a big believer in just sharing your life. I call it's for me, it's the Pfitzer family reality TV show. And so I'm very quick. And don't get me wrong, it takes a minute for your family to get used to. They're very annoyed in the beginning, but over time they embrace it. Trust me, we're people joke and say we're a social media family, and we kind of are, but we made it that way, right? And so now it's like if somebody's doing something funny or I hear something in the other room, I'm first grab my camera and go see what's going on, right? I video, take pictures of things that never get posted, but a lot of times I capture things, and here's the way I look at it. Some people would say, well, that's annoying or whatever. And I say, the worst thing that's happening is I'm capturing more memories. If that's the worst thing that's going on right now, that's not so bad, because as my older daughters will remind me, because I have a 3-year-old now, they're like, you have more video and pictures of winter in 3 years than you have of our entire lives. And I'm like, well, that's not my fault that technology wasn't what it was back then. And that's the reality of it. So, and then I just share it. So I'm more open. I'm not saying you have to share your life. But if you want to connect with people, if you want to relate with people. And so what I do is literally, I'm going to go play golf this afternoon, and I will probably take a few videos while I'm playing golf, and I'll probably post one of them. And so I'm relating to golfers. I have a toddler. I post a lot with my toddler. So anybody, either A, they love it because it's cute, or B, they can relate because they also have toddlers. I'm into fitness and diet. So I typically serve as an inspiration to people. I have followers and have connected and created great friends as a result of some of the physical challenges that I do. And, it could be food. It could be binge watching Netflix. It could be gardening. It could be anything. And all of us as human beings have these hobbies. We have these things that we do. And so I encourage everyone, because most that I talk to are not creators.
Yeah.
On social media, and you need to become one, because there is a statistic that I read once that said less than 2% of social media users are considered creators. What does that tell you? Opportunity, right? So that means 98% of the world, which is billions of people, let's just say hundreds of millions in the United States, because that's really what matters, are consumers scrolling and watching. You could be one of those 2% that they're consistently seeing. And so all you have to do is turn the camera around on your life more often. So that, to me, helps you create a cadence. It helps you get in the practice of sharing every single day. It helps you become better in front of the video camera. You're going to have to learn some editing skills. I recommend it. That same, she was 13 at the time, taught me how to use iMovie. It was life-changing for me. Now I've since evolved into better technology, but being able to capture a video and turn on my camera real quick, knowing that if I video for a minute, maybe 10 seconds of it is actually interesting. I have the very simplistic ability to chop it up, maybe add some fun stuff to it and post it, which makes my content now far more interesting than yours. If you turn on your camera, videoed for a minute, now I got to sit through 50 seconds of boring to get to the goods, right? And it's those kind of things. So you notice I didn't mention anything about business in there. And that is the key. And I'm not saying, again, that you're not going to talk about business, but again, open up your feeds. Like, where do you spend time? Do you spend time on Facebook? Do you spend time on Instagram? Which those are the two biggest ones. And what do you see? If you search realtor, you're going to see mainly the same boring nonsense. And so, the name of the game is differentiation. The name of the game is standing out. So what do you want? Do you want to just blend in with the masses, or do you want to separate yourself? And I'm not saying you have to put on a clown suit. I'm not saying you have to become a dancer. I'm not saying you have to become a singer. What makes you special is who you are as a human and what you do in your life. And your life might be boring by your standards, by somebody else's standards, but that's relatable to other quote unquote boring people.
Exactly.
It's the truth, right?
Exactly.
And honestly, displaying that is actually far more relatable. People will actually feel more comfortable. I have more of a, loud personality. Actually, I don't. That's just my persona, because I've gotten comfortable in front of the camera and I do this. I speak a lot and I am passionate. I'm genuinely passionate about this. I'm more chill in real life, but the reality is that we watch the Kardashians because it's entertainment. But if it actually came down to choosing Kim Kardashian as my real estate agent or Sally Smith, the boring person, I'm probably going to choose Sally because I feel more comfortable.
Right.
Because I can relate to that person, because Kim's like, that's scary, right? Just stupid analogy, but it's true. And I think people use their boringness as the objection, their excuse why they shouldn't post.
That's a great point.
But gosh, if you're a book reader, all you got to do is share those books and say, I just read this one. Let me share some thoughts about it. Anybody read it? Anybody have any suggestions? You're going to create conversations in the comments. And I mean, that's the name of the game, right? It's no different than getting in your car, driving to the local chamber event, making a bunch of awkward conversations while you're trying to make connections. Like, this is easier. It's more fun. It's more convenient. And if you just do it more often, you're going to find yourself having more raving fans, friends, clients. It wins, man.
And I think an important point that people may have overlooked is the word we talked about at the beginning is evolution. If you look at where you were, you talked about your daughter helping you with using the iMovie, and where you evolved. And a lot of people look at widely successful agents. And they're in different real estate groups, and they see these people posting out high production value videos. And it's like, most of those people started with iMovie, with editing things on a lower level. You have to be willing to get started. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. You got to put your neck on the line and be uncomfortable, and then also be willing to adapt and grow. Because if you just create one standard type of content and then don't evolve and don't change, you'll get outpaced. But you have to be willing to start with it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be amazing, but you have to be constantly trying new things and adapting. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck.
Yeah. Imperfection wins too. I mean, Again, when it comes to video, obviously TikTok's changed the way we watch, right? And TikTok is very imperfect. But when you really think about it, you have to be a student of any game. You know, if you're gonna just go all in on leads, what do? You go to scripting classes. You go to you do role play. You practice, right? And I don't understand, because there's a lot of people that I'm just not good at video. And well, guess what? The first time you picked up the phone to call a lead, you sounded like a buffoon. You sounded like a total idiot, right? And you got better the more calls you made. And it's the same. It's no different. It's like when you came out of the womb, you didn't start running marathons. You had to work up to that and practice to get to that level. And when if you want to lose weight, you can't just snap your finger and you lose the weight. And so it's all of it. I don't think people put it in perspective. I think they just, it's public speaking is probably, I think for a lot of people, it's the scariest thing in the world. And I think people look at getting in front of a video camera as public speaking. And it's, I will give another piece of advice that I always give when I talk about video, is that the one place that every single real estate agent should absolutely have in their business is a platform like a BombBomb, right? One-to-one video communication, because although I get it, you're going to have some level of intimidation. It's far less intimidating to think that you're sending it to one individual who is your client. That same client, you could sit across the table and easily have the same conversation with. So why can't you send them videos? And the reality is you can't meet with them every time you have an update for them. So send them a video. And frankly, it creates efficiencies in your business, because now it's like, hey, we're going to meet on Saturday to go through this contract, but I'm going to send you a BombBomb ahead of time, do a screen share, walk you through the contract, show you what, so that way we're going to make us meeting on Saturday far more efficient. Now we can bullshit about your kids and I can get to know you better because I already took a piece out of there. Or if you're a lender, right? If go send them the LE or the CD and go through it line by line. The contract gets accepted. You can send them a video and be like, this is so exciting. I mean, people love that stuff. And so I always tell people, like, listen, I get it. If you're not going to go start dancing on TikTok, I use that loosely. It's not dancing on TikTok, but incorporate a video service. I use BombBomb. We use BombBomb. We love BombBomb. I send, like I always tell our loan officers, and this would apply to realtors, you should be sending 3 to 5 video emails per transaction. It's congratulations, contract accepted. It should be, here's next steps, updates, congratulations. You should be sending, you should do a follow-up a month later, a year later. I get it. Like old school people are going to be like, well, I pick up the phone and I call. Well, just out of curiosity, how many are actually picking up? And the ones that don't pick up, fire off a video email, because again, I'm on the cusp. I'm almost 45 and I consider myself younger by the way I act, because I don't like if I don't have your number in my phone, and even then I don't like answering, I'd rather text. I feel like I'm a teenager, but that is the way the world's going. And so I would rather you send me a BombBomb message, because if I have to get on the phone with you, a lot of times there's a bunch of nonsense small talk and I don't really have time for that. So just shoot me straight and shoot me a quick video and I'll watch it. Right. And the truth is I'm not the only one that feels that way. And so incorporate it in your business. And I'm telling you, people, if you do this as a real estate agent, you're going to get responses from people that are going to be blown away, even though this isn't new technology, but not many people are using it. And they're going to say, wow, you're the first real estate agent that's ever sent me a video email. I'm touched. That was so cool. And bam, you just won, right? That's
awesome. So that perfectly ties into the next segment, which would be your last piece of advice. So what's one piece of advice you'd give our viewers to either help them evolve, help them get into this, or just take it to the next level?
Well, I think as it relates to social media, you really have to become a consumer in a different way. Most of you listening, you get on TikTok, you go down the rabbit hole, and an hour's gone by and you've been wildly entertained. Don't get me wrong. But what I recommend is, commit, right? So pick a platform, pick one platform. Don't go all 6. one platform and go all in on that platform, and make a commitment to in the next 6 months to get to a point that you're posting every single day. But it starts with choosing that platform. Then you have to become a consumer, an intentional consumer. So you want to start searching for what is it you want to put out? Is it funny real estate posts? Well, search it. Is it just real estate in general? Is it real estate educational? Like, the algorithms are so damn smart and everything's cataloged. You can go find this stuff. Then define your pillars of content. So most people, they commit, they'll find the platform and then they'll say, I don't know what to post about. So create this. I literally keep a list and I update it regularly. And so I have pillars. There's business, and then there's sub pillars underneath it. What do I want to talk about within the business? There's personal. What's underneath the personal? Well, it's family, it's travel, it's golf, it's fitness and diet. So figure it out what it is you want to be. And then like literally tape that thing to the wall next to your computer. So when you're sitting there one day saying, shit, I haven't posted in a couple of days, let me get back to my list. Oh yeah, that's right.
That's great.
And so that's what I would suggest doing, because you want to get to a point that you're posting to social media every single day. Build that into your cadence, just like you build in prospecting, cold calling. You set aside 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. Start doing the same thing for social media, except this is super critical. You've got to be disciplined.
Yes.
And when you open up that app, don't go down rabbit holes. You gotta be very disciplined to the plan.
Get in and get out.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So we always wrap up with a best book segment. So what's one book that's had an impact on your life, or you think would have an impact on our viewers' lives?
Well, I've got piles of books because I'm a podcast host and people send them to me, and I'm at a point in my life where I don't read much, but I listen to podcasts. But I will. There is a book that has had a massive impact on my life because I got a chance to hang out with this guy. Is Living with a Seal. It's not new, but Jesse Itzler is the author. It's where he hired David Goggins, but at the time nobody knew David Goggins. And that book just had a very, very profound effect. It caused me to do a massive challenge. I got to meet Jesse. I got to spend like one-on-one time with him. Just a whole nother story for another day, but it was priceless. And it's a really good book. It's an easy read. It's inspiring. And it'll take you down that rabbit hole of David Goggins and Jesse Itzler, which are very inspiring people. Yeah. And they've got a bunch of books now. And so it's good stuff. Yeah.
I love that book. It was I listened to the book, and it was I was doing a drive, and it's a very engaging, awesome. And
I heard it was better. I heard it was better and audible because Jesse's reading it. Yeah,
it's good. So we'll put that in the show notes so people can check it out. And what's the ways our viewers can check out what you're up to, connect with you, or find out what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm easy to find on social. So all those platforms that I mentioned, wherever you spend time, I am just Jeff Pfitzer. So it's another piece of advice I would have for people is try to make your name very consistent across every platform, and try to make it your name. If you have a basic name, you might have to add something to it, but don't get overly cute. People know you by who you are. So I'm easy to find. If you know how to spell my name, you're going to find me on social. Plus, I'm going to probably hack your algorithm because I post every single day. So
exactly.
Go check it out. And honestly, though, go check it out for the sake of being inspired. Go find 5 to 10 other Jeff Pfitzers and tell the algorithm to show that to you every day, because that's really what you want. That's exactly what I did.
Yep.
And, and by what I mean by that is go like, comment, connect, engage with them. The algorithm's going to pay attention. They're going to show you that stuff. So if it's not me, that's okay. I'm not offended. Go find somebody that does inspire you and sparks creativity, because that's really important. You can message me on any of the platforms. I always give out my cell phone because most people are blown away by it, and I don't mind because rarely do people ever text me.
Yeah.
So I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah.
But my cell phone's 314-220-4945. It's not a burner phone. I do have a burner phone, but it's a second camera.
Oh, nice.
It's not actually, it doesn't have cell service. It's just, I can only use it in Wi-Fi, but that is my phone that my wife and kids call me on. So you're welcome to reach out. You have questions. I love connecting with people because you never know what's going to create opportunities. So
that's awesome.
Always happy to help.
All right, we'll put that in the show notes so our viewers can check that out, connect with you, the book, and everything else. So Jeff, I really appreciate you being on the show, sharing your insight and your wisdom, and I hope that our viewers really take it to heart and start to evolve and add more to their business. They know I preach it all the time, so just one more voice is going to help. Hopefully, just that one person is going to realize that they need this in their business. So thank you for sharing that with our audience. I know there's a lot of great insight and wisdom behind and experience. So it's just do it. You got to you just take the plunge and get started.
Amen. Thanks for having me, man.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks for checking out today's episode. If you'd like more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Facebook page and our other social media channels. Looking forward to bringing you more great content like this, and happy farming.